Have you ever noticed how often we tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I lose weight, or I get the promotion, or I have more money, or when the kids are older, or when I find the right relationship, or when life will finally slow down? It's easy to get caught up in that, but the problem is that when never really arrives. Because as soon as we reach one destination, our mind creates another. And so we spend our lives chasing peace instead of experiencing it. And today, I want to talk to you about how to fully embrace peace, not someday, but right now. Welcome to another episode of the Leading Life Podcast, where we talk practical wisdom for leadership and life. I'm your host, Andy Zook, and I've learned that leadership is about how we show up for people, how we navigate change, and how we continue growing. Right now on today's episode, we're going to talk about the journey to true inner peace. Something that every human being wants, but very few people fully experience. And we're not going to talk about the absence of problems. We're not going to talk about living a perfect life, but we're going to talk about genuine inner peace. Today's episode really is a journey. It's not going to be, okay, take a couple deep breaths and oh my God, you're going to feel so peaceful now. It's more of, how do we really get there? How do we embrace peace along the way and all the things that life has coming at us? And I'm sure you're thinking, okay, Andy, this is really easy to talk about when life is going well. And that's a fair point. But some people are carrying wounds, trauma, heartbreaks, illness, loss, anxiety, and challenges that we may never fully understand. And I get that. But peace isn't pretending those things don't exist. Peace isn't denying pain. Peace isn't putting on a fake smile and acting like everything is okay. But here's something I've noticed throughout my life so far. There are people whose lives look almost perfect on the outside, yet they live in constant frustration, anger, and discontent. And there are people who have endured unimaginable hardships, loss, sickness, setbacks, and suffering, and somehow they still carry on with a remarkable sense of peace. Why is that? It's because peace doesn't come from having a perfect life. Peace comes from how we relate to the life we have. It comes from acceptance. It comes from our gratitude. It comes from meaning. And it comes from focusing on what we can control instead of what we can't. The reality is that some people have suffered far more than you and I, yet they have learned to live with grace, hope, and peace. And that should remind us that while we can't always choose our circumstances, we can influence how we respond to them. One of the questions I ask myself when life feels difficult is, am I waiting for my circumstances to change before I allow myself to experience peace? Because if peace only arrives when everything is perfect, I'll spend my whole life waiting. And one of the most important lessons I've learned is that peace doesn't come from controlling life itself. It comes from accepting it. Most of us spend years trying to arrange every circumstance around us. We want people to behave a certain way. We want events to unfold according to our plans. We want certainty and we want guarantees. But man, life just doesn't work that way. Life is beautiful though, in its unpredictable, messy, heartbreaking, joyful, and uncertain ways. The sooner we stop fighting reality, the sooner we can begin enjoying it. 2 years ago, I went through a significant change in my life. And without getting too personal into details, it could have been a really make or break situation for some people. I remember going out to run some errands one day and standing in a parking lot feeling like I was losing it. Like I'm staring up at the sky, not sure how to pull the strength out of me. Even though I knew it was inside, I was asking the universe to help pull that strength forward so I could use it. And at the beginning of acceptance, it was difficult. But after a couple months, I began to realize that no matter how hard I kept pushing against the current, I was still drifting out to sea. And the key here is to flow with the current a little bit more and accept that this is a new normal in your life. It doesn't mean that the new normal won't change, but the harder I tried to push, it became more about what I can give and less about what I wanted. There is a higher calling behind all of this. The more I accepted where I was, the more peace I began to feel. Life is not about what we're getting, but it is certainly about what we're always giving. Many people spend their lives accumulating more money, more possessions, more achievements, more recognition. And that's great. as you are pursuing goals. And goals give life direction, but goals sometimes can make terrible destinations for happiness because every achievement eventually becomes normal. The raise becomes your salary. The new car becomes your regular car. The new house becomes your house. The excitement fades. The peaceful people I've known seem to understand something different. Life isn't ultimately about what you get, it's about what you give. Your kindness and your encouragement, your wisdom and your compassion and your presence, that impact that you have on others. When your focus shifts from getting to giving, something remarkable will happen, as it did for me when I faced that circumstance 2 years ago. Life becomes less about keeping score and more about creating meaning. So let's start this journey. The first thing I want you to keep in mind is the power of the moment. One of the greatest obstacles to peace is that we rarely live where our feet are. Our bodies are in one place, but our minds are somewhere else. We're worried about next week. We're regretting last year. We're replaying old conversations. We're imagining future problems. Meanwhile, life is happening right now, this moment. The sound of someone's laughter, the warmth of the sun, a conversation with someone you love, a meal, a walk, a quiet morning. These ordinary moments become extraordinary when we actually pay attention to them. Peace is often hiding in plain sight. Now let's take the next step. I want you to remember, you can only control you. This may be the most freeing truth you'll ever hear. You cannot control other people. You can't control the weather. You can't control the economy. You can't control the past. And lastly, you cannot control how others see you, but you certainly can control your response. You can choose patience. You can choose gratitude. You can choose kindness. You can choose discipline. You can always choose your attitude. The more energy we spend trying to control things outside of ourselves, the more frustrated ultimately we'll become. Me standing in that parking lot looking up at the sky, frustrated that I can't control this situation. The more energy we invest in becoming the best version of ourselves, the more peaceful we will become. All right, let's keep moving forward together on this. What I want you to think about next is the hidden cost of comparison, because that's a big thing nowadays. It's a thief of joy. We compare our lives to other people online. We compare our careers, our homes, our relationships, our appearance, our success. And comparison quietly convinces us that our life isn't enough. But peace begins when we stop measuring our life against anyone else's. Hey, your life is a journey. Your timeline is yours. Your story is yours. There is tremendous freedom in accepting that. This is your life. Don't compare it to anyone else on Instagram. All right, let's keep walking through this. What peace really looks like. Well, peace is not life without challenges. Peace is sitting in uncertainty and still believing you will be okay. Peace is facing disappointment without becoming bitter. Peace is loving people without trying to possess them. Peace is appreciating what you have while still pursuing growth. Peace is accepting that life will never be perfect and loving it anyway. Let's bring this a little more to life for you. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who was imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps during World War II. He lost his parents, his brother, and his pregnant wife, and he endured starvation, brutality, uncertainty, and witnessed unimaginable suffering. By any normal measure, he had every reason to be consumed by despair. Yet Frankl observed something remarkable. Some prisoners seemed to lose all hope when everything was taken from them. Others, despite the horror around them, retained a sense of dignity, purpose, and even moments of peace. And after the war, he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, which I highly recommend. And one of his most famous ideas was everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, and that is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Now, that doesn't mean he wasn't suffering. He absolutely was. But he discovered while he couldn't control his circumstances, he could control how he responded to them. Viktor Frankl survived Nazi concentration camps, lost much of his family, and witnessed horrors most of us cannot imagine. So if a man could find meaning, purpose, and moments of peace under those conditions, perhaps peace is not found in perfect circumstances. Perhaps peace is found in the way we meet our circumstances. And so here's a couple of tools to help you on your journey. If your life feels physically chaotic and overwhelming right now, when you are constantly rushing, your nervous system remains in a perpetual fight or flight state. Peace in this scenario requires aggressive changing of your daily routines. I want you to move your schedule around. Say no to non-essential commitments to protect your time and energy. Declutter your environment. Clean your physical living space as physical messes actively mirror and worsen mental chaos. I want you to stop scrolling your phone while watching TV or eating. Practice doing one thing at a time to rebuild your attention span. And then I want you to build yourself a slow morning as best you can. Wake up even just 15 minutes earlier to sit quietly, stretch, or sip your coffee without immediately checking notifications. If your mind feels anxious and loud, and if your surroundings are quiet but your thoughts are racing with regrets about your past or worries about your future, I want to help you with some more mental grounding tools. Number one, anchor your breath. Use a simple 2-minute breathing break to pull awareness out of your head and into your physical body. Forgive past wrongs, not to excuse others, but to drop the heavy emotional burden you're carrying. Block your algorithm-driven feeds, news cycles, high-stimulation media that intentionally triggers anxiety. And then track gratitude. Write down 3 specific things you are thankful for each day to manually force your brain off its negative bias. And another scenario is if your relationships are draining you, this is one of the fastest ways to destroy inner peace. You cannot control others, but you can control your proximity to them. Set boundaries, decide what behavior you will no longer tolerate, and clearly communicate those limitations. And when conflict arises, consciously speak slower and lower your voice to naturally de-escalate emotional energy. And then lastly, practice non-judgment. Accept that people rarely wake up with a goal of ruining your day. They're usually just fighting their own hidden battles. And I want to ask you a couple reflection questions. Number one, what am I constantly chasing that I believe will finally bring me peace? Number two, what am I resisting that I may need to finally accept? Number three, what can I give more of to the people around me? Number four, what am I grateful for in this moment? I'm grateful for you, the listener, by the way. Number five, what would happen if I trusted this moment exactly as it is? And is it enough? And some final thoughts for you as we close out today's episode. The truth is that peace isn't waiting for you somewhere in the future. It's not hidden in a bigger paycheck, a different house, or a perfect set of circumstances. It's available right here, right now. When we stop trying to control everything, when we stop comparing ourselves to everyone else, when we focus on what we can give instead of what we can get, and when we fully embrace the moment we're living in, that's when peace will come to us. It's built from learning to appreciate the ordinary moments instead of the extraordinary ones. Peace is not found in getting more from life. Peace is found in learning how to fully experience the life you already have. Thank you for joining me on the Leading Life podcast today. That is my episode. And if this podcast made a positive impact, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And also, for you, I'd appreciate a quick rating or review on whatever platform you listen to me on. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next on the Leading Life podcast. I'm your host, Andy Zook. I want you to lead with purpose, live with intention, and keep becoming who you were meant to be. And most importantly, go out today and be the hero in somebody's story. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.